Some people say this is the best Spider-Man statue ever made. Today, we're going to try and find out. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. A big part of this channel is about high-end collectibles. Because of the chili con queso virus, we are looking at some of the older pieces in my collection. And I've never reviewed this guy, but I thought, why not? I've been doing a lot of Spidey villains lately. I recently did Lizard, so not Lizard Man, Lizard. You can check out that review right here. I also did like Carnage before that, and I think I'm going to do Venom and Sandman later this weekend. But I want to dive into this piece because there's a lot of interesting things going on. But before I do, we're actually doing some giveaways. We're giving away these two Venom statues. Make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. And if you're not interested in those Venom statues, we're actually giving away some extreme prizes or extrizes. If you comment on a video, you're entered to win one of those prizes. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. So let's dive into this Spider-Man. This is a Spider-Man statue by Sideshow Collectibles, arguably the world's largest manufacturer and distributor of high-end statue collectibles. And this is a really interesting piece. And Spider-Man is arguably one of the most popular comic book characters of all time. So because of that, you have tons of different Spider-Man statue options. And we're going to look at a bunch of them today. But as I said, made by Sideshow Collectibles quite a long time ago, and to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of information on him. All I know is they made 650 of these because I looked at the bottom of the sticker. I don't know the original retail price. I paid $900 shipped about 2 or 3 years ago, which was a steal. It usually goes for right around $1,000. And this is one of those pieces that I just bought because I needed a Spider-Man, and I kind of fell into peer pressure, listened to everybody else, even though I thought it was okay. But then I got it in person. It's amazing. It's really good. Kind of a spoiler in the upcoming review. So kind of a funny story. I'm looking online to find out the original price of him or if there was an exclusive. I don't know. If you know that information, use that as your comment below to enter into the extrizes. But I ran across a video, and here's a link to the video right here. It was Gem Mint, who used to be a friend of mine before he had to get rid of everything custom related. This was his first video review. I've never seen it. So I started watching like the first few minutes of it, and I didn't want to continue watching because one of the things as YouTubers, a lot of us, we don't watch other people's stuff until after we film our own because we don't want to take anything directly from it. I do have to say his first video was much better than my first video, but it was hilarious watching it. So after you watch this, go check his out. It's very cool to see everything he's done since then, and I miss my friend. So first, before we look at the other Spider-Man options, we're going to review him using the extreme scale. If you've never seen it before, here's the extreme scale. It's a 1 through 5 scale. T or 1 on the far left is horrible, and 5 or X on the far right is awesome. And first thing we always talk about is concept. Now when you think of Spider-Man, you want a concept that shows his origins, that shows his powers, and I think they did a good job with some of that here. But let's take a look. So on the front, he is on the top of a building. There is kind of that, almost looks like a griffin, usually like a gargoyle type aspect. And as you move up, he is in a dynamic pose, meaning an action pose, and he is really attached to the wall. It's crazy. So they're showing off that Spidey power, which is really cool because you don't see the strength or the webbing or some of the other classic stuff. But it's almost like a typical New York building, really makes you think of New York. Maybe that's just me. And the building and almost what I'd call the base is done really, really well. Spider-Man is either about to shoot an enemy or he's about to swing, but they definitely captured Spidey. And one really quick thing, I want to show you the back here too, which I typically don't right away. The back shows the inside of the building, which is crazy. I love that they added this. There's so much cool stuff we're going to see in paint and sculpt on this. And then one of the other things you'll see on the sides here, you actually see the mortar and cement and stuff in between the building. So very, very cool. I like the concept a lot. I think it shows Spidey, and I think that's why this piece is so popular. The only thing I would say should be different about this Spidey to give it a perfect concept, an X concept, is we need some webbing of some type somewhere. If they had some on the building, if he was shooting some out of here, which I think there may be an X, and the X may have that because this arm is removable. It's the only removable piece, which we'll talk about in design. So even that little web coming out, like their premium format they did after this, I still don't think that's enough webbing. So because of no webbing, it's not an X, but it's definitely a 4 out of 5, a rail. Not a grail, but a statue you really, really want when it comes to the concept. Now let's talk about design. In design, there's a lot of awesome things. Some of them we already talked about in concept, and then one thing really that I would have changed. But first of all, they have this museum black base on the bottom. I kind of call it a sub base. I wish that this would have been gone, or they would have incorporated more of the building into it. So that's one small preference negative I had. The other negative, and then we'll talk about the positives, is his scale. He's a little big for Spider-Man. Spider-Man is traditionally a young adult or teenager. And of course, depending which villain you put him up against, the only Sideshow Spider-Man villain I have is actually the Green Goblin, and he's just as big as him, if not bigger. But the positives, I love the fact that they gave all these options. So if you display him from the front, he looks good. You can see not only Spider-Man, but him shooting the web and the whole side of the building. If you do the side, you can see the classic Spider-Man pose. You can see a little bit of the front, a little bit of the back, that mortar on the inside. The engineering of the statue, I think that's a part of design, how he fits on really well. I mean, he's barely attached, just like Spider-Man would be. That is so cool. So I think a lot of pros, a lot of cons when it comes to it. And I think the design, I'm going to give a W, a rail as well, a 4 out of 5, simply because of the engineering on it. I think that kind of takes it to the next level. With the paint and sculpt, ironically, Spider-Man is not as good. He's good, but he's not as good as the building itself. So the black base down here, it's plain, it's simple, it's fine. Nothing to write home about. And even this griffin or statue or whatever it is on the front of the building, that's fine too. I'm not sure why they chose that. It seems like Spider-Man or Venom always have a gargoyle or something like that on the front. But let's look at the texture of the building, the stone part here. I love the shading in it, the shadowing. There's a tiny bit of texture. Looks really good. The bricks look fantastic. This is really well done. The mortar in between, the different coloring on the bricks. Again, this great texture that they laid into them. It's awesome. And even where it's broken on the side here, look at this, the different layers you're seeing. The paint job is phenomenal. The sculpt is great too. And I would assume that this was traditionally sculpted because it's such an older piece, but it may have been digitally sculpted. If it was traditionally sculpted, I'm even more impressed because the detail is just unbelievable. Look at the window pane. So I'm kind of showing you a side shot here. You see the wood window frame on the inside and the metallic concrete one on the outside. Very cool. I'm falling in love with this statue all over again. Not that I didn't like it before, but look at the drywall on the inside. Kind of makes you think of a shitty, small New York apartment, which, you know, maybe it's where he lived. He traditionally lived in a poorer part. The piss yellow shading that's mixed in with the white. The drywall is kind of cracking, very old. They even have a outlet. And then the baseboard, a wooden floor below. So Spidey, a few things I want to talk about on him. First, let's kind of just look at the paint. Has the traditional, normal Spider-Man paint. You really can't make Spider-Man more exciting, although you may see it in some of the ones we're going to look at. Classic web-based design in the red parts of the costume. And it's kind of a matte paint. Look at the paint around his eyes. I think this is a little bit of missed opportunity here. You almost have a gap there. Let's check out his anatomy. I think his anatomy is really well done. I think it's nice. It molds to the weird, awkward position he's in. He's fit, he's muscular, but he's not over-muscularized, and he's not too small.
That's what she said.
So I think a lot of pros and cons. It's really difficult for me because, like, the paint on Spider-Man, at best it's a 3. But the paint on the base is a 4 or 5. So I think overall, I think I have to give the paint a 3. I think there are definitely some opportunities with Spider-Man. It's almost a little boring. But the sculpt is definitely a 4. It's a rail. It's almost a 5, I would say. Now, is this piece better than other pieces? Well, let's take a look in. So here's the other Spider-Mans out there. And these are not all of them. These are just the ones I'm aware of. But here is one that I've actually reviewed before. It's a custom one. You can usually see it hanging in the background, literally. Here's a custom kit that I have on order. It's actually I think it's with the painter right now. I can't remember if it's shipped or not. This is Sideshow's older premium format, which I've never seen in person. A lot of people like it. I'm not a huge fan. Here's Sideshow's new premium format. I actually had this on order, but I canceled it. I just wasn't digging it in the end when it was all said and done. And then XM Studios recently came out with this Spider-Man. And I'm strictly looking at the 1/4 scale ones right now. There's some 1/5 scale Comiquettes out there. Right here, one is fighting a whole bunch of tentacles. This one is a concept revealed a long time ago. I don't know where the progress is on it. This one, he's sitting on a ledge. Very excited about this one. This one should come in the next few months. And this one should be coming very soon too, where he's actually fighting Shocker. And just for shits and giggles, I actually do have the Mary Jane Spider-Man Comiquette on order, as well as a custom Spider-Ham. Really, I can't do an Extrumble. I could do an Extrumble against that one, but I definitely think it wins. This one overall is a W rating. It's not a grail, but it's something that people would really want. Very, very cool piece. Here's some close-up video for you guys just to kind of take it in. But in my opinion, and this is solely based on pictures and other people's videos, I think this is the best Spider-Man because it captures the action, the base is phenomenal, it can be displayed in so many different cool ways. I wish he was scaled a little bit smaller. So I think because of that, there may be some competition, especially with some of the stuff coming. And just so you guys know, if you really like stuff like this, I have a ton of behind the scenes stuff where you see uncut, you see room tours, you see stuff that's not included on the regular channel. If you're interested to know what that is, click on this membership link right here and it'll give you a video telling you what's going on. But for now, go ahead and check out some of these other Sideshow collectible statues or click on that Extreme logo to make sure you've subscribed if you have not. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.